made and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda, all items appear to be in order.
Second that.
Second by King. Roll call, please.
Counselor Robinson? Aye. Counselor Shepherd?
Aye.
Counselor King?
Aye.
Counselor Piper?
Aye.
Mayor Barnhart?
Aye. Consent agenda is approved. Appointments, oath of office. Wayne Shufflebean, promotion to sergeant with the oath of office.
We went through the promotional process again. We were excited to be able to promote somebody from within. And Wayne Shufflebean, he's shown a lot of leadership in a short time here. He does have the qualifications based off of his time in the military, where he was staff sergeant for approximately 4 years. So he brings some leadership in that. So excited to add him and kind of take that next step forward and moving our department towards a full roster.
Sounds good. I guess I would need a motion.
Motion to approve promotion of Wayne Stubblebean to sergeant.
Second.
Been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
You can move up if you want to take pictures.
What's your badge on? It doesn't matter to me.
Trying to get out bubbles.
Everyone's bailing.
She didn't even call you.
I didn't hear Al or anything.
Yeah, Chief, over the focus.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good job.
If you want to take pictures, you can come up front and do that when you like. Okay, Wayne, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Wayne Stuffing,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Montana.
and the Constitution of the State of Montana.
And I will discharge my duties
And I will discharge my duties
of office as police sergeant
of office as police sergeant
with fidelity, so help me God.
with fidelity, so help me God.
And we need pictures, but if you want to shake hands.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, thank you.
Congratulations, Wayne.
Get to watch some more. Yeah, risk management, congratulations.
Thanks again, so. So thankful for you.
All right. Next bit of public business is visitors' public comment. Anyone wish to talk to the council about anything on this evening's agenda? Negative? Okay, moving on. What I should say is, did we have anybody online that would like to make a comment?
Counselor Shepherd is the only one zooming in this evening.
Thank you. Next is notice of public hearings and public hearings. The first will be a notice of a public hearing for December 4th to amend municipal code Title 5 business license regulations. The next one would be a notice of public hearing for the same night concerning Senate Bill 355 proposed projects. And next is a notice of public hearing for the planning board December 12th, and the city council will visit that on January 2nd, request to change zoning from CR3 to CR2. That has to do with the Boys and Girls Club. New business.
Mayor and council, in your packet, you have the report from City Clerk Stolland on the current board positions that are up for renewal or expire December 31st, 2023. It's page 34 in the packet. So currently, until Senate Bill 382 is implemented, you will have your Board of Adjustment and your City County Planning and Zoning Board. So the positions that are up for renewal, we have the Board of Adjustment, Mr. Irvin, Mrs. Riley, and Mr. Johnson. And I think you had heard back from everybody except Mr. Irvin. And then on the planning, the City County Planning and Zoning Board, Mr. Kavanaugh and Mr. Duffy's terms expire effective December 31st. They have both indicated they want to be reappointed. We didn't hear back. The county handles their openings. So, and then of course on the tree board, those terms also expired. We have Councilor Kelly King and Mr. Bishop, and they both want to serve another term. You'll do your final appointments on December 18th. Prior to that, to the expiration. The one question that has come up is if you would entertain letters of interest from anyone else. We haven't received any letters of interest from anyone else at this point. But if you did receive a letter from somebody other than an incumbent, you want to interview them. And of course, it's a moot point right now because the city clerk hasn't received any letters from anybody else.
Does the public know that there are positions available for appointment?
On the city website or boards. So, and then, like I said, the Board of Adjustment and the City County Planning and Zoning Board will remain in place until the implementation of Senate Bill 382. Later, the council, in the near future, the city council will appoint a city planning commission that starts that process of 382. But that'll be discussed at your workshop. So,
Council, how do you feel about that, opening it up, or should we leave it waiting?
I thought it was in the legals, in the reverse news. Isn't it in the legals, or is that county?
county,
Oh, that's county. Okay, pardon me. My bad. Okay.
You good with the way things are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just leave it the way it is. I would, hopefully the county commissioners will get around to appointing these gentlemen if they determine they want to come back before our action month. That was late in the month, wasn't it?
December 18th.
December 18th.
Yeah, before the expiration of the year.
Hopefully they'll get that taken care of.
And of course, if you receive letters of interest, then you can take action at that
There
time.
you go. Next is review and approve Senate Bill 355 priority list.
All right, Mayor and Council, on November 6th, Montana Department of Commerce rolled out the provisions of Senate Bill 355, also known as the State Local Infrastructure Partnership Act, or the acronym SLIPA. And part of the process is that the council has to look at a priority list. Now, SLIPA, interestingly enough, requires us to be done by December 2024, or significantly done. Like we have to have a pretty darn good reason for not having projects done. And so how nice of them to wait until November 6th to kick out. So part of this process you saw under notices of public hearing is that the city council will hold a public hearing your December 4th for public comment on your priority list that we're now kicking out. So the requirements specifically are for repair and maintenance, right? right? Not like a new park or a new facility or a brand new road, but repair and maintenance. So
Of city infrastructure.
of yes, city public infrastructure. So we always have projects that we don't have funding for. So also on November 6th, we received notice that our allocation is $359,193. And then we have to match that. Matching funds are $119,731. Now the interesting thing, and Mayor, they rolled this out in a webinar in the morning before the last council meeting, so council got a brief report of, hey, guess what's coming? If we use this money, like if we, as working on our wastewater treatment plant that we haven't called for bids, if we needed that money for this project, which is a significant amount of repair and maintenance, the local match for the total project has to be 25%. But we don't have a shortage of projects. So as put together with the city officials, there are 6 fire hydrants with auxiliary valves that need replaced after the fire department went out and exercised all of the 380-ish fire hydrants. So the estimate there is $60,000. Now, sewer is always our large dollar item. We have a main line repair, sewer main number 135 between 2nd Street West and 3rd Street West that needs to be repaired. The estimate is $10,000 to $15,000. You saw in claims, I think it was either the last one or the one before, we had repaired $52,000 in sewer mains. So this one came up after we did that first list, but is in need of repair. So the benefit of having our wastewater crew out there jet rodding and Cameron is that we can see repairs. So that's on the list. The electrical distribution, that switchgear project. So remember when there was that power glitch and we lost power at the treatment plant for about 18 hours and it didn't switch to the generator because it blew the big switch. We still need to replace that. That's the recommendation, to replace it. So that's $50,000. Then in our pre-treatment, we have the grit bin. It's a steel bin and it's getting a little rusty. So this is to buy the bin and install it. It doesn't need to be engineered, but we'd have to call for bids. Obviously, anything over $80,000, we still have to call for bids. And then down in the basement of the clarifier, we have the old scum pump. Scum could be great. And controls. Well, the controls are manual. It doesn't, from 1983, it doesn't talk to our electronic system. That, for the equipment, again, it doesn't need to be engineered. We've replaced the pump and the controls, and that's $100,000. We also need to replace the Meadow Lake flow meter. As we've been reviewing with Meadow Lake and reviewing the flows, we have discovered that flow meter is not reading accurately even after we had it calibrated, because Meadow Lake is metered. So when you compare the flow meter and the metering, they're too far off. And we had the flow meter calibrated, but it's still too far off. It reads lower, except during the flooded. If we needed funding for the wastewater system improvements project, which we're getting down to 90% design, we put it on the list just in case. And then we have a section of the Veterans Drive bike path from highway from 9th to 11th that needs repaired. So we're 50,000's on the high side. It's 9 feet wide of pavement. There was some not necessarily settling, but there's some areas that the Waterwood Pond, when it was first built. And so that section, and then the Cedar Creek Dam diversion ditch cleaning maintenance, we try to put in about $15,000 per year. We did get some cleaning done last year. It's a long ditch, and you have to go clean out trees and brush and so on. So that's, again, that's on the high side. And so the one thing you're going to see is on our list of potential projects, this exceeds the amount of money that we have. And matching funds always, where are we going to get the funds, right? Do we have money set aside now? When I talk to you about the RTP grant under my report, I'm also going to mention matching funds there. But right now, the council has funding set aside in your resort tax that potentially could be used as matching funds. You've restricted the other infrastructure. So some of it, like the flow meter, water hydrant, we would have some money in the water fund that could help offset that, the matching funds for that. So, but the list, the requirement for 355 is that council, you have to establish a list of priority projects. And then at your next council meeting, we'll have a public hearing and get public comment on your priority list. And of course, if there's something that city staff and I have missed that meets their definition of repair and maintenance, that we also know doesn't need DEQ approval. Like we had a water main that needs to be replaced. It's only a 2-inch galvanized, but you're not going to need the timeline by the time you engineer it and get DEQ approval and call for bids and move. So we put together a list that we thought was feasible to be done in the timeline as set by Department of Commerce within the requirements of 355.
And then after that public hearing, next meeting, we have to make the decision, because Susan has to get that in before the end of the month. So.
I have a question, if I may. So would it be inappropriate for us to ask that the city staff prioritize this list?
No, we can do that.
Before we look at it, because I would know what might happen. You know, I would rather personally have the city staff prioritize before it comes to us. And then you can make that determination.
Sure. And if you think that there's something that we're missing that meets that repair and maintenance criteria. So we did look at projects that didn't need engineering and DEQ approval, which I think was, that was part of the push too, right? That it's for repair and maintenance. But when you look at things like that steel grit bin replacement, I mean the bin, there's a little bit of insulation, but the steel bin's gonna cost some money. And that 1983 scum pump controls, so.
Did I hear you right, that it was a high guess 50,000 for 9 feet on the bike path?
Well, it's 9 feet for 2 blocks. I think it is.
Oh, I was like, what?
It is lineal
That is from the
wide.
Catholic Church.
Lineal feet.
Okay.
It's subdivision along veterans.
Gotcha, thank you. I was like, what?
It's a mess.
Great.
It is not.
We got one quote today that was like about 35,000. But then the other quote was higher, so, you know, what will be the cost of pavement next spring, right?
Hopefully it'll be lower.
So it could be.
Jeez. Get that dirt back on.
Okay. Any further comments on it? Reports, business from mayor and council. I would just remind you all that at the January 2nd meeting, we will do committee appointments for the council. So if you want to review the committees you're on and see if you're happy, and if you're happy, let us know.
I thought you were going to go.
And we will have one new member, so, yeah, so that was just simply a reminder. The other thing is, concerning these construction projects. I've seen the costs of all these projects and everything else continue to escalate, just a crazy rate. Eventually, it's gonna stop, doesn't it? So I think at some point, they're gonna get where they're paying everybody enough and they can do it, or they're gonna keep jacking prices. That's a crystal ball question, but
What do you
I
know?
wanted to mention that. Down here, Kelly.
I have nothing, thank you.
Nothing?
Nothing either, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, Mike, you have anything this evening?
Nothing tonight.
Wow, okay. We'll move right into the city manager report.
Okay, so under your grant and project updates, we are awaiting what should be the final signature on the raise grant. So I don't know who is happier about the federal government not shutting down because, you know, we're working with the folks from EDA out of Denver and Raise out of Washington DC and Helena. So it's before the last person to sign it. So, and then our ARPA council, the extension, the deadline extension and the modifications you made to the budget for ARPA was sent to the commission that oversees that at DNRC. So we should hear back on that. And you can see on the consent agenda that TA grant amendment for the right-of-way, that added in the right-of-way project. So we keep giving them money when they invoice us, and somehow we keep having to add money in to pay for it. But that was the last adjustment. So our bid opening, we did get good news. On Thursday, we opened bids on council on your sidewalk and parking improvement project that encompasses, you know, with your tax increment financing your downtown. We had 3 contractors bid, and we're anticipating that the engineer will provide the recommendation for the December 4th meeting to award the bid. But we had two reasonable bids, like they were about the engineer's, just below the engineer's estimate. Then we had one. So the low bid is $732,000. And we didn't have a bid, it was like almost exactly $200,000 higher. But the middle bid, the third bid was like only $1,400 off of the first bid. So are we gonna start seeing bids come down? I sure hope so. But that'll be before council on December 4th. So that was good news.
Susan, could you review the areas that that will pay for, that will be rehabbed or built?
So for the sidewalk project? Or for Bill?
Yes, the one that the engineer is going to give us a recommendation.
Okay, it's our missing infrastructure, like one block off of Nucleus and immediately adjacent. So the downtown area where we're missing curb, gutter, and sidewalk. So this will it'll either replace dilapidated sidewalk or put in sidewalk where it does not exist. For example, like up by Nails, right, across. So any non-functioning or non-existent infrastructure, which met the definition of blight, right, that you just don't have it. So the council's intent, of course, was to help define the parking area and improve public safety by, if you did park your car up there, and of course, Night of Lights is coming up, and we'll all park on those side streets that currently don't have curb, gutter, and sidewalk. And so this will do that infill for the bulk of the downtown area. So for your meeting on December 4th, we'll put the map up.
And this will increase our parking because we're doing First Avenue West across from between 5th and 4th.
Yes.
We took the trees out, so that'll be angled parking and sidewalk, curb and gutter.
Mm-hmm. So that'll help.
That'll help.
Yeah, and just to, it'll mitigate owner, public conflict, and it just helps to define the parking, because the projects that you've already approved, like across from Vaquero's parking lot, putting in that curb gutter sidewalk there helped immensely to help with parking, but also to just stop the conflict with neighbors. So, but we were really encouraged to have good bids. So instead, we'll be able to bring it forward to council without saying, okay, now what are you gonna chop off? Which block do you take off? So that was encouraging. So the state has kicked out the recreational trail project grant, and I'm going to grab, another document. So earlier, let me see if I can do this. I cannot minimize, okay. I'm not gonna be able to do it. Show it. So earlier, the council had RPA engineer the sidewalk immediately adjacent to 6th Avenue West from 7th up to the school. So we're here behind Glacier Gateway. All right, get 4th.
From the four-way stop down to the truck
Right.
route.
Yes, so as you guys know, the sidewalk comes around the corner and stops. So earlier, we had RPA design so that the sidewalk came all the way down 6th, and then here, then a bike path came down where the alleyway, close to on school property, bike path on the alleyway, and cut over to 4th. Because with their new design, so like in the old days, you just walked down 5th, you could cut over to go to the school or to go to the post office or whatever. So with the new design, it's very similar to the junior high school where the buses, they close that, like you don't get to walk through there. But the other problem is we don't want folks walking around the truck route, right? It's too narrow and not designed for that. But to provide, and it is just like the junior high where the bike path came in and cut across the edge of the junior high, so you had public access that helps with recreation. So this will mean that like if you're on this bike path or you're coming up this way, you can make a loop safely. So my request tonight is to look at that. So the estimated cost to put in sidewalk where it doesn't exist right now, and then bike path. In the spring of 2022, they estimated $189,000. Because of the looping and the recreational aspects, I'd like to submit a grant application to the RTP project. We've used recreational trail money in Rivers Edge Park. That was those improved trails. It is there's a maximum grant is $100,000, and there is a matching requirement. And those grant applications go in January 15th. It's this sidewalk and path are on the council's priority list, but we didn't have funding for it. So we do have in the resort tax, Council, Mayor, you have restricted the other infrastructure funds, which currently in cash, you have $193,983, which, like I said, when we're looking at the 355 list, that could help. If we have a project that we don't have matching funds, or you could use it to help match like this project. I mean, it would not take all of it. But if that's, so you guys had this on your list. We have the easement agreements with the two property owners already drafted. They went through legal back in 2022. And then we got the estimate for sidewalk. I had the picture, but it won't let me switch over to another document. So it's sidewalk from 7th up to the school. So it'll connect to where their little chunk of sidewalk is by the crosswalk. So sidewalk, but then bike path down and across, which will provide a crossing for people who currently can't. I mean, unless you walk all the way down to 7th, And we really don't want people walking around the truck route.
So just for clarification, this is the project we talked about that would go on the south side of Nick Ruiz's purchase of the old junior high,
Yes.
between that and the church,
Mm-hmm.
to tie 4th Avenue
Yes,
over to 6th.
yes,
And
correct.
and the route over off of 6th Avenue is where? Well, where do you turn? Do we still go up to alongside that next property on the edge of the parking lot of the school
Yes.
right now?
Yes, yes.
So it's exactly what we talked about.
Exactly, yes. And I
My
can't
daughter,
bring that.
the teacher at Glacier Gateway, asked me that question specifically, seeing that as a real problem with, one of the problems they have at the school is kids not being able to get across there.
Right.
So,
Well, and if they do come up 7th, then there's no sidewalk up 6th. And then the new kind of, if you will, the front door to the school, because where the buses are, is mainly off of 6th. Like parents drop off on 4th, but if you're a child, then, you know, they take the shortest route, right? But their front door, where the kids are playing, is off of 6th. But this was on the council's priority list, you just didn't have the funding. And we have, the last update was July 22nd, had updated it to the 189,000. We'll get that cost updated, but the bid packet, everything is ready, which also helps us with the recreational trails project, right? We're ready. I don't think, we didn't have the easement signed because we weren't proceeding, but like I said, they were drafted and already approved back then. So, and it's platted, it's, you know, it's not like it was bare land that nothing's ever been on. So that makes the environmental review a lot easier, but I guess that what I'm looking for tonight is just your blessing on the, do you agree that this is a good project for recreational trails? And would the council consider using their other infrastructure restricted funds for some matching funds? It's a 20% match. So you're not gonna use all of your infrastructure funds.
I have a question. If the grant is awarded to us, what would be the timeframe? Then, like, how soon do they award those grants? Would it be going into our next fiscal year?
So applications due January 15th. I want to say on their website, do I have it? Their timeline, oh, that's 3:55. Their timeline, I think they give you notice by March that you're successful. And then you could start, like, then obviously we'd have to dust off the engineering. But like I said, the packet was ready to call for bids because we're not changing anything in it. So I think so it would, construction potentially wouldn't start or certainly wouldn't be finished until.
So if we do not receive that grant, going into the next fiscal year, we could probably fund that.
Mhm.
So no matter what, we're gonna get it done. It's just a matter of how soon and with whose money.
Correct.
Okay. Council, somebody wanna make a motion to approve the request for that grant?
Make a motion that we approve the request for the grant for the RTP.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion is approved.
We'll get to work on that.
It's a good project.
And so with the county's new tax system, I couldn't grab the top 10 taxpayers yet. They have different reports, but with their reduction in mills, so for example, in our budget book, we had the tax example that had the mills that they had certified in September. Well, then they reduced them another 17.1 mills. So for those of us whose tax value, like mine only went up 43% instead of the countywide 46%. So instead of my taxes increasing $102 like I thought they were going to, it was 79 cents. So for folks below that countywide 46% increase with that reduction in education mills. And hopefully I'll be able to still get the same information so that you guys can look at that top 10 taxpayers and the difference between last year and this year, since the city reduced their taxes significantly. So, and that was all I had tonight. Just want to confirm when you want to do your Senate Bill 382 workshop, if you want to do it in conjunction with one of your regular council meetings, the 4th or the 18th, or if you want Monday, December 11th, you're off Monday.
What do you guys think? Can we do it in an hour?
Can they do it in an hour, Attorney Chris?
The 382 workshop. Yeah, I mean, it have to be close, might go a little over, but we'll work hard.
Yeah, I was just thinking if we could do it at 6 o'clock on a regular meeting or an off one. So it's just kind of up to you guys. How do you feel?
I'm good either way.
It's not for me.
Do we know when concerts are? I'm thinking if you,
One
do you have anybody in band or choir?
High school.
Okay.
Mike, what do you think for doing that workshop?
Well, we need to get it done, so if it's the 11th, let's do it.
That's the off Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. Then if everybody's in agreement, we'll just do the off Monday at 6:30. Is that for
6:30?
everyone?
Okay. So we'll get that rolling. 6:30, December 11th. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. City Attorney.
Nothing tonight. Thanks. See you on there.
Chief?
We're busy.
Yes.
We're very, very busy. It's,
I've noticed how busy you are
yeah,
when you look at the report.
it's been interesting to see the amount of DUIs that we're suddenly getting. We had 7 this week.
Oh my gosh.
This week,
In a 4-day span. Between Wednesday and Saturday, there was 7.
I was just looking at October.
Yeah.
For the month, we're at 14. So that puts it in perspective.
Why? Why the uptick? Chief, can you explain that?
I think it's twofold. One, we're close to the holiday season where we see an uptick in drinking and the drinking and driving, of course. And 2, we've got a young, motivated police department who is out there with their hair on fire, to be honest,
All right.
which is a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. It's not to say anything about where we were over the last few years, but I think just a very, very proactive group that we've hired who are excited to do their job and they're doing it extremely well.
I see there's 295 traffic stops, which is like quite a bit above where we would normally be. So yeah, they're out there patrolling. And
I was smiling when we were looking at the Kalispell Police Departments, they posted their numbers and, their call for services massively are 9,000 or something like that. Our call for service is probably 1,000 or 1,200, but they're at 375 traffic stops and we're at 295. So different type of policing, where we're out, like I said, being more proactive and less reactive. We don't have issues that they're dealing with. But I'm very proud of what they're doing. I mean, these folks are really out there keeping the community safe, which is what we want.
The news reported the incident on 4th Avenue with the person with the AR shooting through a window, and it looked like Columbia Falls Police Department handled that and did a bang up job. And
For having,
so kudos to the officers that dealt with that.
yeah, for having no detectives, because both are out on injury at this point in time, and have been for months. I was very impressed with the response and the investigation and the evidence collection. And it was very, very well done. And it's going to be a very important case for us to get right. So,
Yeah, I thought that was great.
And Mayor, I'll just add one thing. In the near future, the attorney and police are going to do a special presentation for the council. But 2 Mondays ago, we had a citizen come in because he wanted to see for himself, like in court, Because there's still this perception that we don't have police officers and they don't do anything. So even though you guys see that monthly report and you can see how busy they are and how proactive and they're out there, I mean, sometimes it is hard to see the cars, except the little white Charger, I'm pretty good at picking him out. But this citizen came in for the sole purpose of seeing what was going on. Well, 2 Mondays ago, we had 50 on the list here. That courtroom was packed. And so he went out of his way to say to the police officer, I came because I didn't think you guys did anything, but I was wrong. So I mentioned that to the mayor, and of course, we've talked about that the dispatch center closed in 2009, right? It is true that we don't have dispatch here, but we very much have a police department. They are very active. So some of that is just us communicating with what they do and how they do it. But just this volume of workload that now is extreme. And so we love it. They're proactive and they're out there. You can see on your report they had logged 7,000 miles in cruising, right, and touring the city. So that's 1 month. We're 2 square miles. They're out there, and they're out there in the school zones, and they're out there on the highway. They're everywhere.
And that's maybe 3 officers short.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
so they are busy, and so, but just some of that, like, we're looking at how we convey this, because I thought that was interesting that we have a long-time citizen that said, well, I came because I didn't think they did anything, and boy, was I wrong. And hopefully he went to the coffee group and said, boy, was I wrong. Like, go stand in court. But it wasn't any busy, it was a little less busier this Monday, but it was still busy. And so we're proud of all of it.
Susan, you and I had a conversation concerning being able to communicate to the community with what its city government is doing. And one of the things that was brought up was the fact that Kalispell posts that. So someone could look and see what they've been doing, whether it's on a weekly or monthly basis, I don't know. But have you and the chief discussed that?
Yes, we have.
Do you think
How do we
that's something
convey?
that would work?
Mhm.
That would help.
We'll
Absolutely.
break it down in a little bit less data, not for any other reason than
Yeah.
all that data can be cumbersome to get through. So we'll do call volume and arrests and DUIs and any significant calls that we may go on, and we'll post that on a monthly basis on our website, on our Facebook page.
I think that would be very helpful.
Mhm.
Let the community see.
Likely, you'll still receive the same report because it's a good way to compare year over year, month over month. But you can definitely break it down so it's a little bit easier to read and at a glance you can see that we really are out there doing our jobs. There's no doubt about it. These guys are really working hard and doing it well. It's not slapped together. Their reports are spot on. Their investigations are spot on. So I'm very proud of the work that they're doing.
They're working extremely hard.
So,
Yeah.
I just have a couple of quick questions, if you don't mind. And speaking of these reports, I had it brought to my attention months ago that I guess Kalispell does submit a written report from a number of the different departments every month. And I think I saw a copy of all of those. So that might be another way to get information out to the public, not only the police department, but other departments too, that, you might consider that could be helpful.
Yeah,
Just
the only
like-
one I can think of might be fire.
And it seems like. it's like
Emergency
public-
services,
Fire prison, you guys give your monthly report for me.
That'd be easy.
Seems like maybe it was public work, so I'll see if I can come up with that information.
Pretty tough to get much of a report on public works on month, I guess, is what they're doing. It's just kind of an ongoing deal. But
Yeah. Anyway, I'll look and see if I can find that. My other question has to do with the Senate Bill 382 workshop. Is that going to be a meeting where there can be some interaction between the public and the council, or is it just a presentation and that's it?
it's a workshop, there'd be a place on the agenda for public comment.
So in other words, it'll be a presentation, but you will have an opportunity to make public comment, and that's what you're doing, correct, Justin?
That's one we're working with Eric Mulcahy on to present to the council, and then interaction between us and the council, but then an opportunity for the public to make comment to the council. I don't know how much opportunity there would be for back and forth between the public and the council on it, but certainly
Does that
comment.
answer your question?
Yes, it does. I'm remembering a couple months ago, well, maybe it was right after the legislature met, that Councilman Darren, whatever his last name is, that he asked for a summary of Senate Bill 382 be provided to the council, and I spoke up and asked if that could be made public. So is that kind of what this is going to be?
That would be a part of that, yes.
Yeah.
So Department of Commerce's technical assistance team,
And
whatever they call it, the technical assistance team, and the planners and the attorneys are working on the roadmap. Commerce has, as you noted in the, at the lead conference, they're really putting steps together. So we don't have that final, like, this is what they're recommending. So, and it's important too that there's only 10 cities that currently applies to. And we're the smallest of those cities, so, but, and the other city, I think Lewistown was considering opting in. They're a larger city, but their county is less than 70,000.
So I really don't think there's gonna be a lot of back and forth. I think it's an informational meeting, but we do always say public comment.
Yes.
I think they're just, we're getting what's gonna happen, how it's gonna affect us, and I don't know how much discussion there will be, quite honestly. That's kind of the goes. So if there's no further business to be brought before the board,
Meeting's adjourned.
Second.
motion's been made. And second. To adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Please.
Did you say you're not here on December 7th?
House being.
Came for swim?
You said you're on December 11th.
You missed the beginning where we put up the big flag.
What big flag?
Yeah, we're gonna be like Sunny Falls, Maine, sister city, we're gonna have another big flag. From, yeah, so when you get up to the top of our flagpole, you'll be able to actually see. Even with
was that approved
even
by-
with the current.
Was that approved by-
You'll be able to see Columbia Falls, Maine.
I think maybe we should put it up at the falls on Columbia Mountain. Wouldn't that be cool, right? I like the falls.